Hey everybody, this is Coach Desmond. Welcome for another edition of Progress Not Perfection, the show that likes to feature entrepreneurs and amazing individuals who are on their way, on their journey to, well, success, because we all know it's about progress, never about perfection. Okay, all right. So today we got a great subject here today. This one is kind of near and dear to our hearts. And in fact, I think the timing of the show is actually very appropriate. If you are living in the United States, right now, there's a lot of concern, regardless of where you are in age, but particularly for seniors right now. And also, we're looking at the economy on that. We're looking at certain services and also what have you. And people are now beginning to have different conversations. Can I retire? Will I be able to afford to retire? Would I be able to live the kind of life I find comfortable? Or am I going to have to take a job as a Walmart greeter? Shout out to Walmart greeters everywhere. Okay, all right. So with this in mind, then we're going to be addressing a lot of these here. And I didn't want to go ahead and hog the mic on this one the entire time. I got two amazing individuals as guests. We have Cecilia Harrison on that, and also she is a senior citizen advocate as well as the co-founder of the Masters Empowerment Conference. And also too, we have Tanya. Matter of fact, we have Tanya Adams also, who actually is a retiree who's actually living this life. She's actually a person who's actually now doing and has done many different side hustles, and she's going to be basically sharing with us her specific experience. So guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Wonderful. Guys, before we go and get started here, I did a little bit of research in regards to this particular in regards to this subject, and the stats are absolutely amazing. Listen carefully. I think you'll find this interesting. 55% of U.S. households ages 55 to 64 had less than $25,000 in retirement, and 41% have zero in retirement. Okay. Number two, roughly 1 in 4 U.S. adults age 50 plus said that they are delaying their planned retirement because of economic concerns. Number three, among Americans ages 62 to 66, 47% were worried about running out of money in retirement, and only slightly over half had planned adequately. And last but not least, among U.S. adults 50 plus who are not yet retired, about 25% of them say they expect that they will never retire. Whoa. That's some pretty amazing stuff going on here as well. The guys, listen, I want to get this panel. Let's get this discussion rocking and rolling. And also, Cecilia, senior citizen advocate, co-founder of the Masters Conference here. When you hear those stats, what's going through your head right now, and how does that matter of fact jive with the conversations you're having with individuals of this age group?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, Desmond. And I co-founded the Masters Empowerment Summit, everything, and talking to my friends. Of course, I'm retired. To my friends and getting their take on things. There's a lot of concern as to how far will our retirement funds go, and in my time and in our this time and in my age group, we had some things in place that now are no longer in place for the younger people. A lot of companies don't give pensions anymore. So, we have things in place like pensions and Social Security and our 401ks, and thank God for that. However, with the economy the way that it's going, those funds are running out. And plus, on top of that, a lot of us are helping our adult children because of the economy. That we're helping our adult children and their children and grandchildren, and that we want to do that. And so in talking to many of my friends and Tanya as well, Tanya and I worked together for many years. And so in talking to my age group, there is a extreme concern, and then we're worried about how we're going to make our monies draw out, and we're living longer too. We're living on. My mom is 102 years old.
Wow.
And I live longer too. So my money, I don't know if the funds that I have saved up for my retirement will last. So I got to think of ways to, what to do. In fact, next summit, right, or next conference is going to be, in fact, side hustles for seniors. What's in your house?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Exactly.
Tanya's going to be one of our speakers for that. But we want to look at what we can do, what we have to offer. And seniors, we have a lot to offer. We can leverage on our jobs that we had prior to retirement. Both
Mm-hmm.
Tanya and I are engineers, software engineers. So we have some technical expertise possibly that we could provide. But everybody needs to take a good look at themselves and to see what it is that what are your gifts, what are your talents,
Mm-hmm.
what are your passions.
Yeah.
And that's what the Master Summit is here to do, to help people to think about those things and get them on that
Yeah.
track to take a look at what is in their home, what's in their mind, what's their experience. And so we're happy to help any way we can
Yeah.
to
Well,
encourage.
yeah, yeah. Then this is something else. Now, in fact, now, Cecilia, you and Tanya, you guys, a matter of fact, retired at age what?
I retired twice, actually. I retired once at age 58, and that was kind of a forced retirement. My husband was ill, and I retired to take care of him. And,
Right,
and when
right,
he and when he passed away, I
right,
went back to work, and then I
right,
retired again at
right.
age 62.
There you go. And also, and Tanya, you were mentioning that you also retired pretty early back then. This was back in the '90s or early 2000s.
Oh, thank you. But
Yeah, okay.
I think, no, that's not, thank you. In the 90s, really? I mean, come on.
Just
I
asking. Just asking.
retired
Uh,
at 57.
wow.
And
Wow.
in the 90s, I was in my prime,
Right.
in
Right.
my early
Right.
30s. So
Right. Right. Right.
I
Right.
retired at 57.
All right. Well, this is interesting because now we just read the statistic that more and more people are delaying retirement. Whereas
Mhm.
57, that may have been more common. They're delaying, matter of fact, retirement and all stuff. And now some of them are saying, I don't think I'll ever retire, going on simply because of the fact I don't think I can afford to. Now, Tanya, you've been, matter of fact, you have been retired on that. I imagine it's good. Matter of fact, we've talked and all stuff. It's going pretty well, but there have been times when you needed to go ahead and basically now get a little extra money. I don't know whether it was simply an issue of, matter of fact, boredom, was it necessary need, was it a combination of the both on that as well? Tell us about your side hustle journey. How did that start, and what benefit that has made to you and your house?
Well, actually, I feel like I started before there was a need.
Mm,
And the reason I started my first, I think, venture for like what we think of as a side hustle
hmm.
was shared driving Lyft and Uber.
Right,
And the only reason I got into that is because my sister said she was going to do it. So I jumped online and did a bunch of research because I was going to come
yeah.
up with an argument to talk
Mm.
her out of it. But what ended up happening is that I did enough research that I felt comfortable enough to do it myself.
Wow.
And
Wow.
my sister, on the other hand, decided not to do it, but I ended up doing it. So it was more an idea of, oh, I retired early. I'm
Hmm.
going to start my own baked goods business. But in
Hmm.
the meantime, because I'm, that old mindset that you,
Right,
you got to have a job, right? You got
right,
to do
right.
something.
Sure.
I started doing Lyft.
Mm,
So that was
wonderful.
my first one.
Okay. Matter of fact, and that started off interesting. I love that story because it started off you trying to convince somebody not to do it. You ended up doing, and you
Yes.
ended up doing it there. And also,
Yeah.
in fact, financially, and again, you've done this several times, as well as we'll talk about the baked goods as in about a moment. But in terms of the additional income that you were able to go ahead and see, was that something that you were able to go ahead and see as a great bridge to kind of augment or supplement in terms of some of the other things that your benefits or what have you were not providing?
Yes. Well, it gave me a sense of comfort that my
Mm,
retirement was going to last,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Especially the idea that I consider a successful retirement the ability to not be miserable at work. That's how I define successful retirement. Not to be stressed you
Right.
know, to
Yeah.
going to work.
Mhm.
And what it allowed me to do was to decide, oh, I could do anything. When I need the funds for something, I
Mhm.
will go to and do Lyft
Right.
instead of,
Mhm.
using up my
Mhm.
my
Mhm.
savings. Now,
Mhm.
at the time, my husband was working,
Right.
but I was able to cut back a lot of my bills at the time I retired. That was
Mhm.
part of my retirement. But my deal with my husband
Right.
was that, I will find extra money
Right.
for my extracurricular activities.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So, matter of fact, so in your case, you were able to go ahead and basically fulfill that gap. But you mentioned a key
Mhm.
word here, Cecilia. I'll come over to you here in terms of the comfort level on that. There's a lot of nervousness because I do hear a lot of retirees that have said, "Listen, I got the 401k plan, and also, and I do have my Social Security, but when we look at all of our bills on that, it's just enough, and there's not extra."
Right,
Going on
right.
here as well. That's a matter of fact, that's a big concern. That's a big concern. And then on top of that, you mentioned something that I thought was something that a lot of people don't recognize in today's environment. And it's weird because this almost sounds like, matter of fact, why would this be a bad thing? But we're living longer. Isn't that a good thing? Yeah. On the one hand, it is, but if we're running out of money, not so much. And then secondly, the adult kids and their children are now moving in, additional expenses there. Cecilia, you know a little bit about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And right, right. One thing though, uh a suggestion is that the reason that I decided to retire and I
Mm,
had all of those worries that you mentioned,
yeah.
I had an advisor,
Hmm.
a financial advisor, and that's one thing that I suggest: get a really good financial advisor that you trust. This guy
Hmm.
was recommended to me by many of the people that I had worked with that had retired,
Hmm.
and I sat down with him. And this, my husband was still alive at the time. We both sat down with him, and he went through all of the, our information, retirement information, and everything. And we saw that, oh, yes, I could retire. And I think that's a fear. You thinking that I don't have enough money to sustain myself, but we looked at it, and I saw that I could retire. Plus, after retiring, realized that I didn't have the gas money. I drove a lot to work, and sometimes I would drive out from where I am. It would take sometimes 2 hours, but that accounted to a lot of the money that I spent, the
Hmm.
wear and tear on the car,
Yeah.
those type of clothing.
Yeah.
Don't use, so you don't have a lot of the
Big-
expenses
Right.
that you would
Right.
have while you're working. And
Right.
so that's what I decided,
Mm-hmm.
to retire
Mm-hmm.
at that time,
Right.
and addressing the adult children returning. Um, it's actually, it's a blessing, and I won't say a curse, but it's something too that adds to
Mm-hmm.
your life,
Mm-hmm.
because look at the economy today. It's
Mm-hmm.
impossible, almost, in
Mm-hmm.
California at least, for adult young person to buy a home,
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
sustain. Is not like it was. So I am happy to be able to help them, but I do have
Right.
to you do have to set boundaries, and
Right.
you have to
Right.
be aware
Right.
of your finances,
Mm.
and we so want to help them,
Right.
especially as mothers.
Right.
We will go overboard to help our children,
Sure.
but we have to set boundaries, and that was one of the topics that we went through
You
at
addressed last time. Yeah. Yeah.
is
Yeah.
that how to do life with your adult children, how
Adult
to help
children.
them, and how to back
Right.
off, and those
Right.
type of things. So it's been a learning experience for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And guys, thank you so much for those of you guys who are joining in. You're watching an edition of Progress Not Perfection. I'm Coach Desmond. I'm here with Cecilia Harrison, as a matter of fact, senior citizen advocate, and also co-founder of the Masters Summit, along with Tanya, Tanya Adams, and also who's actually living this life right now in terms of basically using side hustle as a way to go ahead and basically, matter of fact, mitigate, in some cases, just simply fill the gap that sometimes our retirement costs, matter of fact, payments or whatever, are not able to go ahead and do. Guys, I want to get to the point of this right now. now, you probably say, okay, fine, we get it, we understand, but what can I do about it? So I wanted to go ahead and did a little bit of research here, and I wanted to go ahead and put together the top 10 side hustles for seniors that you may want to go ahead and consider in this season. Now, for some of you right now, I understand you may be approaching retirement going on here, or some of you may already be in it. So take a listen to these, jot them down on that, and see which one works for you. So number one here, matter of fact, and again, also too, Tanya, I want to get you to go ahead and chime in on some of these in case you tried them going on here. So number one, and also side hustle number one, consulting and freelance services. So matter of fact, you mentioned that you guys are, like, for example, software engineers, obviously amazing at computers, and also numbers and all stuff. So you can imagine already teaching, HR, accounting, and all sub as well. And also, these are the type of things that people are doing. They're actually creating, matter of fact, tutoring services, and they can be able to go ahead. The earnings are an average of between $50 to $150 an hour. So that's another great side hustle there. Side hustle number two, Airbnb. Now, this is interesting. All right. So for all the people who are not having their children move back home, in the case of my dad and all stuff, he's in a 4-bedroom house by himself. Wife recently passed away. So what are some of them doing? They're actually now turning their home into a rental property. Income revenue. So with this in mind, then, and also those who are able to go ahead and do that, Airbnb has been an amazing way to go ahead and do that. In fact, there's actually new services that allow you even to go ahead and get this, to be able to rent out your garage for people who want additional storage, and that brings in additional dollars and cents. Yes, and also, and I'm still
the bed and breakfast. Are people still doing that?
They still do that. Exactly. Okay. And also, so if your house happens to be someplace that's close to a resort, like, for example, if I was doing mine, I'm close to Disneyland. Okay. I'm only about 20 minutes down the street. They may want to go ahead and do that. If you had additional property or rooms where that can go ahead and be, check this out. You can earn anywhere between $800 to $3,000 per month. Hello. All right. So we got that there. So side hustle number three, Etsy. For a lot of you creatives out there, we like to go ahead and do our knitting, our art, or whatever. Etsy has been amazing. Think of it like eBay meets the art show kind of situation, where independent artists are able to go ahead and sell their art. My mom is an amazing artist going on here as well. And we've encouraged her to do so. So unique goods there, and I'm seeing people make as much as $300 to $2,000 with that. I hope you're taking this thing down. This is incredible. Let's keep it going. Side hustle number four. Excuse me, is that four? Yeah, I think about four. All right. Online tutoring and teaching. We talked about that, between $25 to $80 a month. You still got a lot of people basically trying to go ahead and pass the MCATs, matter of fact, ACT scores, SAT scores, et cetera, et cetera. If you love people, love tutoring, love teaching, and you want to kind of get back on it, but on your terms, that might be a great way to do. Let's keep it going, guys. And also, side hustle number five, pet sitting and house sitting. Got a good friend of mine who does this. Actually makes about, matter of fact, she makes sometimes $300 to $400 for pet sitting. Can you believe that? So if you love dogs and all stuff, that's going to be a great way for you to go on that, as well as house sitting going on here. Number six, side hustle, remote customer service. Now, this is great on that. With a lot of people right now basically working from home, a lot of small companies don't want to go ahead and have you come in. They'll simply now give you this, and you can be the virtual assistant on that. What's happening there? You can charge anywhere between $18 and $35 an hour. Okay. And also, too, side hustle number seven. I think I'm losing count here. Okay. Blogging and YouTube. What was that? I'm on six.
I thought we were on six.
You on six? Okay. Okay. We're on six. Now get this one, guys. Blogging and YouTube. Listen, I saw somebody the other day that literally simply had a YouTube channel on giving dad advice.
Yeah.
And he's got tens of thousands of followers. He was showing people how he was doing videos on how to tie a tie.
Yeah, you can learn anything on YouTube in these days.
Exactly. And now you're able to take your experience, and you're like saying, dad advice. Well, he has an entire following. And right now, like I said, you can make some very, very good money. As a matter of fact, being a blogger or even a YouTube influencer. Who knew? Who knew?
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep this going here. And also too, notary public on that. Matter of fact, loan signing agent. That's a good one. That one makes on average of 10 to 50. Matter of fact, $75 to $200 per signing on that. Matter of fact, number 8. Matter of fact, excuse me. Yeah, number 9. We got senior companion, medical caregiver. That one is cool. $18 to $30 an hour. Matter of fact, now number 10, seasonal event-based work. So a person who's basically working as a wedding officiant. Now check this out, guys. I got certified to do my friend's wedding not too long ago. Okay, cost me a whopping, I think, $100 on that. Do you know they actually pay people to do weddings as much as $300 per ceremony? So if you want to go ahead and basically get some free food and some cheap cake along with getting paid on that, you can go ahead and actually be a person who officiates weddings. Guys, the side hustles are abundant. I'm looking at voiceovers, genealogy research, photography, renting your car on Turo. If you got more than one car, renting that stuff out, and it just goes on and on and on. I'm hoping you guys basically would get a chance to write that down, because this is how people are actually making money right now on their expertise going on here. Tanya, I know I mentioned a couple of these. I know you mentioned you do, matter of fact, Uber and Lyft. Have you tried any of the other things that we talked about here today?
Yes. And as you were talking, one of the things I realized, everything you said, I think almost anyone listening and most people in the world have had an interaction with someone doing a side hustle. It's kind of like our everyday life, but we make such a big deal of it. I think in America, the idea of working for yourself, is kind of a scary thing. But yeah, I was trying to keep track of the ones I've done. You started with consulting, and I didn't think of accounting as consulting. I'm not as a self consulting, but I guess it is. I do bookkeeping, which is not accounting, but it would kind of fall in that category. And that's where leaning in on your skills, that which you do know. So that was that. But also with leaning in on your skills, you may think that you might not right now at today feel you can go out there and consult or do a business that you have a skill for.
Right.
But when I was and mind you, I'm not doing all of these things right now.
Sure.
I stopped. My family, put the axe on me doing Lyft and Uber during the pandemic. My sister said I could do it, but I could never come back to her house.
Okay, wow.
Until the pandemic was over. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll stop. My husband was happy when I stopped too. But one of the main things I did during the pandemic was, to get what I initially said I was going to do in retirement, started on my baked goods business. And what I discovered, I think it was my sister who turned me on to the small business development centers. And they're in multiple states. They're all over California. And what they are is a group that partners with the Small Business Association. They get grants and they help people for free do whatever they need to get their business started.
Sure.
Whether it's in entertainment, you have a baked goods, whatever it is. So that falls in the consulting. The one that cracks me up is Etsy, right?
Yes,
because
that is huge.
My main problem is that I always felt I could do anything if I had the education, right?
Right.
And there's YouTube University, right? Which gets me into a lot of trouble. I have not done anything without doing research on YouTube, as a major portion before I do anything else.
Well, I'm going to jump in here real quick, and also as we're getting here, this is amazing. Now, guys, what you're hearing right now, this is the mindset, and also you got to have a growth mindset who says, "Listen, I can learn more. On that.
Mhm.
Sometimes one of the difficulties we see, Cecilia and I talk about this all the time, people have what they call a fixed mindset. When we say fixed mindset, what are we talking about there? If God had made men to fly, he would give them wings. Okay. And what ends up happening, we got people who end up retiring from whatever said job, and then they basically tell themselves, well, that's for the young people. That ain't for me, or the famous,
Mhm.
that's too much technology, or they get intimidated. And you can literally learn anything new.
Anything,
Mhm.
anything,
Mhm.
This
anything.
is
Mhm.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, Cecilia, you want to chime
That's
in?
our, yeah, that stops a lot of us seniors. That's
Yeah,
one of what we advocate for, is that too, you better stay relevant.
yeah,
Stay relevant,
yeah,
so that you
Mhm.
won't get left behind, because everything nowadays are computerized.
yeah,
You can't be afraid of technology,
yeah,
and
Mhm.
especially during the pandemic. Is actually, I had to learn how to order groceries, online or through
yeah,
Instacart, or
yeah, yeah.
and have them
Mhm.
come to my door. And that was just an amazing for me, of course, to have somebody to bring my groceries to my door. I didn't have to leave, and so I still
Wow.
use Instacart and those type of businesses. But
Yeah,
to get out of that mindset of that, oh, I don't know, I can't do computers, or I can't do that. And like you said, Desmond, to go ahead and to try new things, to learn new things, and don't be afraid of it. And I know a lot of it is the fear of scams, having somebody scam
yeah,
Mhm.
things like that.
yeah.
So you, of
Mhm.
course, need to be aware of that and take precautions,
Well,
get people to give you advice as to how, not how to get around scams.
it,
If somebody calls you, of course,
good advice.
don't take them up on
Yeah,
anything.
yeah,
Get
yeah,
a phone number to get back.
yeah,
And so learning how to navigate, I
yeah.
guess, in the 21st century,
Exactly.
for
Mhm.
seniors.
This,
Yeah, and
this is,
we've got to go there,
yeah,
as
yeah. This is huge. In fact, like I said, Cecilia is already living proof of that right now. Cecilia actually went to Chat GPT and actually got advice on what to wear for today's podcast. Going on here. So again, using AI already has its benefits as far as that's concerned. She's not scared. She's not scared at
and
Yeah.
that's
all. So again,
but it took me a while, because now we had the conversation
yeah,
yesterday. I think on our
yeah,
prayer line, we had our conversation about
yeah,
AI and Chat GPT, and
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's like, okay,
yeah.
they it's like, okay, I'll
Okay.
I'll start using it more and more. So I start
Yeah,
with something simple
yeah,
about what to
yeah.
wear.
And listen, and guys, the growth mindset is what's going to be absolutely essential. I know we're almost out of time here. Matter of fact, for today's subject, you guys have been absolutely amazing. I want to go ahead and make sure that we're leaving folks, matter of fact, with a few things they're able to go ahead and do now. A lot of people are right now asking the question, this is all well and good, but what can I do? I'm nervous. Matter of fact, I'm concerned on that. Guys, for a lot of you guys who know me, I'm a full-time business growth coach. That's what I do. And I'm seeing an increase in my business of individuals between the ages of 45 to 59 years of age. And guess what, guys? My last three customers who are now coaching with me professionally are in their 70s. I got
Mhm.
one customer right now, speaking of baked goods, who basically started off with one organization. We discovered that she was amazing at baking cakes. Now she makes, get this, $6,000 per month.
Wow.
You hear that? You hear that, Tanya?
$6,000 per month on that. We got a chance to go ahead and coach her. So one of the things you're asking the question is, first things first, what do I do? Get help. Get
Mhm.
help. And guys, like I said,
Mhm.
you can start off here. First of all, if you're hearing this with the sound of my voice and you're saying, you listen, I want to go ahead and get that type of help. Everyone here right now who's listening can go ahead and get a free coaching session. Simply go to coachdesmond.com. I'll put it in the comments. CoachDesmond.com. You can go and get a free coaching session so you can kind of weigh that out and kind of weigh through all the stuff, the pros, the cons, et cetera, et cetera. Happy. This is my free gift to those who now are doing this as well, because I understand how scary it can get. But guys, I'm pleased as punch to be able to go ahead and please as punch, Lord Jesus. And also back up, but I'm pleased to be able to, I'm pleased to go ahead and see that, guys, listen, I'm seeing people in their 70s, in their 60s, in many cases, making more money now on their
Mhm.
own terms than they were when they were working. So if you're thinking there's no way I can catch up, the answer is That's not true. That's not true at all. And we have living proof of that right here. Guys, you've now watched another edition of Progress, Not Perfection. Did you get value today? I hope you did. Guys, if you have questions on that, love to get your comments. What you think about today's conversation? Share your experience. If you're in a side hustle right now, questions, what have you, and I can go ahead and forward this out to our panel of experts that we have here today, or something I can go ahead and take, matter of fact, be able to help you on. Cecilia, Tanya, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for
Oh,
having
thank you
us.
for having me.
No worries, no worries. All right, guys. So listen, don't be selfish. If you're seeing this right now and you're saying, I know a few people who can use this advice, don't be selfish. Share this with a friend on that. Get them encouraged because, like, guys, listen, it's time for us to go to take back control, and we can if we just simply give ourselves a shot. Okay, guys, this has been Coach Desmond. We'll see you next time. Take care. See you next week. Bye bye.
And thank